दर्पण दृश्यमान नगरी तुल्यन्निजान्तर्गतं पश्यन्नात्मनि मायया बहिरिवोद्भूतं यथा निद्रया यः साक्षात् कुरुते प्रबोधसमये स्वात्मानमेवाद्वयं तस्मै श्रीगुरुमूर्तये नमः इदं श्रीदक्षिणामूर्तये बीजस्यान्तरिवाङ्कुरो जगदिदं प्राङ्निर्विकल्पं पुनः मायाकल्पितदेशकालकलना वैचित्र्यचित्रीकृतं मायावीव विजृम्भयत्यपि महायोगी वयस्वेच्छया तस्मै श्रीगुरुमूर्तये नमः इदं श्रीदक्षिणामूर्तये तस्मै श्रीगुरुमूर्तये नमः इदं श्रीदक्षिणामूर्तये। ॐ सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्तिः शान्तिः शान्तिः। सदाशिवसमारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम्। ॐ Verse 26. एकमेवाद्वितीयं सत् सिद्धमत्र तु केचन विह्वला असदेव इदं पुरासीदित्यवर्णयन्. Verse 27. मग्नस्याब्धौ यथा क्षाणी विह्वलानि तथा स्यतीः अखण्डैकरसं श्रुत्वा निष्प्रचारा बिभेत्यतः. So, if you remember, there was a question. Somebody asked that how this, the whole thing was called Asat before the creation. Well, the answer is very simple. That, whatever is unmanifest, being unmanifest, it is not useful also. And therefore, an unmanifest thing which is not useful is considered as good as non-existent. Like, example is there that the butter which is there in the curd or a milk is not used as a butter, cannot be used as a butter, right? Which is unmanifest in the milk, cannot be useful, it is not useful and it is unmanifest. So it is considered as good as non-existent. Actually you should say it is there, but the person may say, well, it is not there. So that mother tells a son, bring butter from the market. There is no butter at all in our refrigerator. There is a butter, plenty of butter. Plenty of butter is there. But she says it is not there. Could you follow now? An unmanifest thing is as good as non-existent. Not useful. And so that is how an unmanifest thing, which we call avyaktam, avyagrutam, etc., is considered as a non-existent, as good as non-existent, and therefore it is said as a asat. And therefore, sometime, in the Shastra, especially in Taittiriya, I am giving you a reference, it says, asadva idamagra asit. Chandogya says, sadeva somedamagra asit. Both are correct. Asadva idamagra asit is also correct. Our Chandogya says, sadeva somedamagra asit. Both are correct. The whole creation was asat before it got created, or the whole creation was sat, pure existence, before it got created. Both are correct. And Taittiriya says also, asatva idamagra asit tato vai sadajayate. From there this sat is born. That is how it is. And Chandogya says whole creation was sat alone before it got created. Both are right. The meaning of asat should be taken properly. And in Brihadaranyaka Upanishad also says, Avyakrutam eva asit. Tadhedam tarhi avyakritameva asit. I think in 146 or something. Tadhedam tarhi, this whole creation was avyakritam. Tarhi namarupabhyam eva vyakriyata. So this avyakritam asit, this whole names and form, all names and forms were basically avyakritam, were unmanifest. Tadhedam tarhi avyakritam asit, and namarupabhyam eva tad vyakriyata. From this, well, that avyakritam, the whole thing, all these names and forms have become manifest. So it is clear. This sentence, Atmava are idamagra eva eka asi, I think in Aitareya Upanishad. And in Brihadaranyaka Upanishad, Brahmava eva idamagra asit. So somewhere it is said Brahman, somewhere it is said Atma, somewhere it is said Avyakritam, somewhere it is said Asat, somewhere it is said Sat. So all things, taking into account everything, the meaning of the Asat will definitely be which is unmanifest. And therefore, we can understand. So theoretically, well, it is not correct because, like in case of butter and milk, etc. Because butter is there always in the milk in an unmanifest form and become usable and obvious well when extracted from the milk. But when a thing is not available for use or not available for any transaction, even though available in a potential form, unmanifest form, we tend to say it is non-existent. And in that sense, this asat word is used. When a lady is pregnant, with a child, even though the child is very much there in the womb, still we do not count as a member of a family. So Garbhastha Shishuhu, well, as though he is not, you count? No, but we don't count. For how many family members are there? So we 5. The 6th one is in the womb, but we don't count. Anyway, so child is there, but still not quite there. That is how asat means basically. Not available for transaction, not available for use, unmanifest, etc. Same way, this pure existence is there before creation and technically very much existent, but it is not available for transaction. So we, definitely that pure existence which is free from all names and forms has been taken as a asat by the people who do not go by Veda Pramana, who do not go by Shabda Pramana. For them, if you go by Shabda Pramana, let the Shastra well say somewhere Asatva idamagra eva asit. But then you see in other Upanishad that Brahmava eva idamagra asit, Atmava eva idamagra asit, Sadeva som idamagra asit. Then definitely that I cannot define Asat as a non-existent. Means Brahman is non-existence. Sat becomes non-existence, and Sat can never be non-existence. Even by literal meaning, Sat can never be non-existent. Sat means existence. No way Sat can be translated as a non-existence. And therefore, looking into the whole vision, the teacher translate that word Asat as unmanifest. This is the tradition. And we have seen, if you remember, we have seen the example in Atmabodha. I gave that example. Actually, it is in Chandogya only. In this section only it comes. And the Uddalaka tells to Shvetaketu to dissolve that salt, if you remember, that rock salt in the water, right? And you just add into the jar full of water. You add one piece of salt, big piece of salt, and come next day and then see, and you don't see anything. So, you say there is no salt. Suppose. Person says there is no salt. In fact, the whole water is pervaded by the salt. So, the whole water is in fact pervaded by salt. But a person who doesn't know, says there is no salt at all. If you use appropriate pramana, that's called tasting that water, etc. Not by seeing. If you taste that water, you say the whole water is pervaded by salt. Same way, here also, this Madhyamikas, the Shunyavadis, who do not believe in Veda Pramana, they say the whole creation was Asat, Shunyam before. If you go by the Shastra Pramana, if you use a proper means of knowledge, then you will find that the whole creation, which is right now pervaded by the existence, Well, all the names and forms which are pervaded by the pure existence, that pure existence was there before the creation, because creation is nothing but the manifestation of names and forms. Well, then they were not there, then the pure existence was there. Well, we can apply even logic based on the Shastra, but the people who do not believe in a way the Pramana, well, they will conclude this way, that the whole creation was non-existence before Asat was. So this is how, this is a mistake. And this mistake is recognized and discussed in Chandogya Upanishad also, and Vidyaranya uses this in this context. In the 6th chapter of Chandogya Upanishad, it is said, Sadeva Somedamagra Asit Ekameva Dvitiyam. And then, well, in the very next mantra, Uddalaka says, Tadhaike Ahuhu. Tadhaike means Eke. Tad means that Sat. Basically, regarding that, Eke, some people. Eke means Ekaha, Ekau, Eke. These are Sarvanama. And so Eke means some people. Kechana. Ahuhu. Some people say, Asad eva idamagra asit ekameva dvitiyam. Whole thing was Asat. Tasmad asataha sajjayat. From the Asat, whole this Sat has come. From non-existence, this existence has come. And then Uddalaka says, Kutastu khalu saumya evagum syat. Kutastu khalu. How can it be possible that from non-existence, the whole existence can come? Non-existence can give rise to non-existence. Karana only, right? Karana is non-existence. How can the effect becomes existent? Anyway, so Kutastu khalu saumya evagum syat iti hovacha. Katham asataha sajjayat. Katham asataha. From this asat, how can a sat is born? That's not possible. From non-existence, how can a existence can be born? And iti satveva somedamagra asit ekameva dvitiyam. Sat tu. And therefore, only Sat was there. From Sat, this Sat has come. The Sat without names and forms, well, definitely the names and forms, well, all have appeared, which are manifested. Well, and existence is associated with it. So this is how, this kind of a possibility, which we are seeing right now, that the Shunyavadis talk about, that possibility already Upanishad has seen it. And so in Upanishad, the mantra which we are studying right now, Sadeva Somedam Agrasid Ekameva Dvitiyam, after that very next mantra is showing this possibility, that some people says that there was Sat alone, Asat alone. So Upanishad makes it very clear. Still unfortunate thing is this Nastika or the Madhyamikas, Buddhist philosopher, said that the Shunyam was there before. Vihwalaha asadeva idam pura asit iti avarnayan. Vihwalaha means their intellect is as though stultified. Vihwalaha asat eva idam. Vihwalaha means this Madhyamika, Shunyavadinaha. Asat eva pura asit. Well, they say the asat eva asit. Before this, the creation, before it has emerged, it was asat alone. Iti avarnayan. This is how they describe. And so just as our naked eye cannot perceive the microbes etc. without the help of microscope, and then we say, well, there are no basically microbes. That's a wrong thing. Take the help of science, that's a pramana, and science will tell you see through the microscope. Then you will find that, well, the microbes are there. So definitely our buddhi requires a different kind of a scope. That is a shastra basically, to appreciate that Sat existence. And Buddhists were actually very intelligent in doing tarka. In logic, they are very powerful people. Especially these Madhyamika and Shunyavadis, they are extraordinary in doing this tarka. And one of them, Shunyavadi, who is very popular in their whole system, is that Nagarjuna. And that Nagarjuna, he was actually a Brahmana and was a Hindu, but then got converted into Buddhism. And he was a very brilliant Shunyavadi. In fact, even Acharya also, Shankaracharya appreciated Nagarjuna and borrowed a lot from his work. And then Acharya used same tarka to refute Buddhism. This is how I told you, Vedantis do that same thing. Vedantis took the tool of this Nyaya Shastra, that Tarka, etc. We borrow from them, and then with the same tool we refute them. This is how, as for Sankhya also, we borrow the whole model of creation and everything, and then we refute Sankhya also. Taking that model, we refute. This is amazing thing. So basically, these Vedantins, this is their job. Many things do not really belong to them. The origin is somewhere else, but they adopt it, and then with the same thing they refute that particular darshanam, and this is how the things are. Anyway, so even Shankaracharya ji Shankaracharya ji has borrowed lot of tarka. Doing tarka, etc. from the Nagarjuna, who was a Shunyavadi. And then later he, with the same tool, tarka, logic, definitely he refuted them. So but that is the difference between Shankaracharya and Nagarjuna is this. Even though Nagarjuna was very, very brilliant doing tarka and proving shunyam, definitely Acharya, who was going by Shastra Pramana, definitely he could appreciate that the whole thing was Sat alone, and with the help of logic also. So this is the difference between Nagarjuna and Shankaracharya. Now what it says here is Abdho Magnasya Purushasya, in verse number 27, Akshani Vihvalani. So the healthy human eye basically perceives objects very clearly, but and of course within a certain range of a normality. But when a person goes underwater, he generally closes his eyes, generally. And if he were to try and keep eyes open and to see the things around, he finds that the objects are blurred, as though it will be blurred. Objects are blurred and unclear because in the medium of water, the eyes are overpowered. And so as it were, and the sight is definitely compromised. Same way here, instead of a water, let's take a Maya. And Buddhi basically is nothing but our eyes. So in the medium of this Maya, the Buddhi is compromised and cannot comprehend things properly. So to get out of this overpowering Maya, we require the help of equipment called Shastra Pramana. By that, we have to see through Shastra. If you see directly, try to see through your eyes, through your logic, you will not be able to appreciate it. In Kathopanishad also very beautifully said, Naisha tarkena matihi apaneya. Tarkena esha matihi. With the help of just pure logic, esha matihi, this jnanam, matihi means jnanam. Esha, this jnanam, brahma jnanam, na apaneya, you will not be able to gain this knowledge. In Brahma Sutra also, Vyasacharya ji has made a special sutra for that. Tarkasya apratishthanaat, this is a sutra. Tarkasya apratishthanaat, tarka has no pratishtha. With just mere logic, you can never arrive that the whole creation is Brahman. You can never arrive. So you have to take the help of Shastra, which Shunyavadi missed. Shunyavadi has no Shraddha in this Shastra Pramana. So, Abdho Magnasya Purushasya, for a person who has his head under the water, Akshani Vihvalani. Now here, Aksha as such, I told you any sense organ, but here it has been taken in form of eyes only. Akshani Vihvalani, the eyes are open but overpowered by the water, and therefore eyes are as though powerless. So they do see but without clarity and precision. Tatha asya dhihi asya shunyavadina. So in the same way, this Madhyamika Buddhist or this Shunyavadi is trying to understand the truth with the help of that Buddhi, which cannot function actually properly without Shastra Pramana. And our Buddhi is basically, it can function in the field of empirical field. Let's say it functions in the empirical field. It cannot function with the help so far as this reality is concerned. Because reality basically is beyond the sense perception, beyond the mind. We have already seen this kind of yato vacho nivartante aprapya manasa saha, with the mind and other sense organs. Well, I mean, whatever the means of knowledge available to the human being, with the help of just that, I mean those pramanas, means of knowledge, you cannot get the knowledge of this reality, and because it is not available. That is how Atma is ever called aprameya. Aprameya means which can never be known. If it is never be known, then why you are trying to know right now through the study of Pancadasi? Well, so definitely aprameya means it is not available to the means of knowledge available to the human being. It is not perceptible. It never becomes an object of knowledge through the means of knowledge available to the human being. That's what it wants to convey. And therefore you will have to use Shastra as a pramana. And then you have to definitely apply logic. If person is not capable of doing a logic, person is not capable of doing reasoning, then he cannot assimilate this vision. Therefore one has to do. But taking the Shastra as a pramanam, taking Shastra as a mula pramanam, and taking it as a true, then one has to understand how everything is one. How there is a duality and yet there is one. That's how it is. How there is a duality and yet there is one. A non-duality accepting the duality. This is how it is. It's an amazing thing. You cannot accept duality and non-duality both. But this is something very unique, that the non-duality in fact sustains the duality. So even though perceptually there is a duality, perceptually one is different from the other, not outside. Here itself perceptually this is different from this. Everything is different perceptually. Every name and form is different from the other name and form. It's amazing creation. Amazing creation. No two things are equal. No two names and forms are equal. In such a thing, such a diversity and plurality is there. Yet there is a oneness. Ekameva advitiyam. Yet still it is oneness. Essentially everything is one. And at the empirical field only there is a duality. But anyway, this Madhyamikas, his buddhi also is working in everyone's mind. In fact, works only in the empirical field. And empirically you cannot arrive at this reality which is ekam, advitiyam, etc., which is one without the second, which was there before the creation, while one has to go by Shastra. And therefore, tatha asya dihi, while this Madhyamika's buddhi, he is trying to understand, and he is not able to understand, he can never understand this paramarthika thing, reality. And therefore, akhanda ekarasam Shutva, after hearing akhanda ekarasam, after hearing this, the Upanishadic statement, ekameva advitiyam, that the Sat, which is the Atma, actually is free from this Svagata Veda, Sajatiya Veda and Vijatiya Veda. Well, after hearing all this, his intellect is not able to appreciate it, the profound meaning of this statement, because he has not taken Shastra as a pramana. And therefore he is not able to understand. And therefore Shrutva nishpracharaha bhavati. Shrutva nishprachara. Nishprachara means same thing. Vihvalaha. Stultified. He is bewildered, let's say. His mind is bewildered. So that's a nishprachara is basically adjective to the dihi, which is in the first line of the shloka. Tatha asya dihi nishprachara bhavati. And ataha bibheti. And therefore not only that. So somebody asked me this samasa of nishprachara. It's a nirgataha pracharaha yasyaha sa nishprachara. So basically his mind is not able to function in the field of this reality. So Shrutva, having heard about this, that ekameva advitim, etc., he got bewildered. Ataha bibheti, and therefore not only his buddhi could not understand this Sat, He is afraid of Advaitam also. Ataha Advaitataha Vibeti. Ataha means Advaitataha. From this Advaita Darshanam itself he got afraid. And this has been taken by Vidyaranya Swami from Mandukya Karika. Gaudapada Acharya says this. Clearly talks about this kind of thing, and he is going to quote, I mean not totally, but part of it he quotes in the next verse also. So, and a thing which is not understood, definitely not known, can become a source of fear. A thing which is not understood. There is something, well, suppose it's night, so there is something, but what is it not understood? Then you got a lot of you become afraid. So if you are going in a forest, and if you understand that it is a lion or it is tiger, well, you get afraid, but you at least know that what is to be done. But if you don't know what it is, then the fear will remain more. And therefore, here it says, if you don't understand this Advaita Atma, there is one without the second, etc., which was there before the creation. Well, if you don't understand this thing, because you have not taken into account the Shastra Pramana, then definitely, Yata Vibheti means he get fear. He is become afraidful, or his buddhi get fearful. So now let's go to the next verse. Gaudacharya nirvikalpe samadhavanya yoginam sakara brahmanishtanam atyantam bhayamuchire. So Gaudacharya means Gaudapadacharya ji in Mandukya Karika in Advaita Prakranam verse number 39 talks about this meditation on Advaita Atma. After meditating this Atma, well, definitely this meditator abides into Advaitam, which he calls it as a Nirvikalpa Samadhi. In fact, you need not go to Mandukya. If you remember, in the first chapter itself, in verse number 54 and 55, we discussed this topic. That how this, Niridhyasanam leads to Nirvikalpa Samadhi. Somehow, this Nishtha in this knowledge, Nishtha in the Atma, basically clarity. One is no more ignorant about oneself. That state, let's say, that's not a state. Right now also I am basically without Vikalpa. Right now, all is a product of Vikalpa. Any Dvaitam is a product of Vikalpa. I am a knower of self. Atma is something which is to be known. Shastra is a means of knowledge, etc., etc. All this is a Brahma. All this is Brahma. Basically, it's born of this Pramata, Pramanam, Prameya, etc. That kind of a differences exist. That division exists, that is born of ignorance. So right now also I am free from all Vikalpa. All Vikalpas. These are the Vikalpas, Triputi, triads. Pramata, Pramana, Prameya, Karta, Karma, etc. Bhokta, Bhokya. So all these Pramanas are basically, they are in the realm of ignorance. They don't have a really that kind of a thing. So I consider myself as a Pramata itself is a Brahma. But anyway, so Nirvikalpa Samadhi means once you are awake to yourself that all these three things, Pramada, Pramana and Prameya, they are non-separate from me. And basically I am actually beyond all this. I'm distinct from all the three. Not beyond as such, again create some problem. I am distinct from these three. Like the clay is distinct from all the parts, basically. A pot is non-separate from the clay, but clay is distinct from the pot. Same way, this is how it is. And anyway, so this Nirvikalpa Samadhi, etc. has come. And if you remember, I'm referring again to that those verses which you have already seen there. And Vidyaranya says, see what happens is Shravanam, Mananam, etc. and then Nididhyasana when you do. So when you dwell upon the teaching, right, that's a Nididhyasana. And then initially you consciously dwell upon that Aham Shuddha, etc., etc., Aham Buddha. But once you come to the stage of Nididhyasanam, then you don't say like that. That teacher was telling Atma is Shuddha, Atma is Anantam, Atma is Buddha, Atma is Nitya Mukta. You don't say like that. That is not Nididhyasana. Nididhyasana means I am Mukta, not Atma is Mukta. I am Mukta, etc. And so when you dwell upon such teaching, that's there, which is the Nididhyasanam, initially will is involved. Please understand this. I have already discussed, but I'm still referring a little bit. So will is involved, and I stand, as a subject of doing this Nididhyasanam. And later on, once you dwell for some time, the mind has that capacity of getting absorbed, which I have already talked to you. Mind already has a capacity which we have seen in the other fields also, while reading or while writing, while doing painting, or while observing something. So the mind has a capacity, if you do for a length of time, then mind slowly gets absorbed into that. So that kind of a capacity, that absorption is a samadhi. Absorption is a samadhi basically. So anyway, but initially when I do this Nididhyasanam like that, I am Shuddha, etc., the will is involved, you have to think a lot, and slowly, and the mind is involved, you are a subject, object of meditation, that is Atma also is there, or a teaching is there, and all these things are there. And if you do like this for some time, well, we say it is called a Savikalpaka Samadhi, in which you are able to dwell upon teaching, but you are aware that you are dwelling upon the subject, you are dwelling upon the Atma, etc. And so Atma is as though object of meditation, etc. These all things you are aware of. Well, that is a Savikalpaka Samadhi. You are able to do. That's how Samadhi is there. There is absorption there, but not total absorption. So that is Savikalpaka Samadhi. And when definitely all these three are present, we call it as a Savikalpaka. And when what happens if person continues this effort after some time, because of sheer habit of the mind, well, that particular vritti continues in the mind. And once it continues habitually, it does not require a conscious effort or a will to entertain that thought. Like, I have given you the example of a pedaling a cycle, if you remember. Like when you pedal a cycle, for some time, well, initially you put a little effort, a will is there. But once you start, once it comes in the motion, then, well, you stop pedaling. But in moment of running, well, definitely it continues to run. Same way, I don't pedal anymore, but still it runs. Same way, so this is a faculty of mind that also has the same kind of thing. Anything you repeat for some time, mind picks it up. And even I have given you at that time, while discussing this 54 and 55 verse in the chapter 1, I have told you about japa also. That if you keep repeating the japa for some time, and then you get up and start doing something else, but in your mind, at a subconscious level, that keeps going. Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya, it keeps going. You try it, you will find. So mind has a capacity of getting absorbed into a particular thought once you continue for some time. Same way. So here I am Brahman, etc., I am Nitya Muktaha, I am Shuddha, I am Asangaha, etc. If you continue for some time, mind gets absorbed into that. And after absorption means what? Now you are no more, the will is not involved. I am right now doing a meditation on the self, that is also get dropped. So out of this Triputi, Vikalpa, Dhyata, Dhyayam and Dhyanam, I am doing right now Nididhyasanam, that also get dropped. I am a meditator on the self, that gets dropped. Only Dhyayam, the self, whatever the thinking you are doing, that continues. That I am Nitya Mukta, etc. That just continues. That is called Nirvikalpa Samadhi. Absorbed into the Dhyayam, the object of meditation. Dhyata and Dhyanam gets dropped. Only Dhyaya remains. When all the three are there, if Dhyata will continue, means his effort continues, and I am meditating right now on the self, that also awareness is there, and there is object of meditation, that is self. All the three, you are aware of all the three are there, all the three, definitely it is Savikalpaka Samadhi. And but Swamiji, how can you call Savikalpaka Samadhi? There may be other thoughts. Then that is not. I am talking about Nididhyasana. That has already gone before. That if, we have also seen that Vijatiya Vritti Pravaha should not be there. And that will happen. Vijatiya Vritti Pravaha will not be there. Sajatiya Vritti Pravaha is there. And if Sajatiya Vritti Pravaha means basically, the thoughts all pertaining to the self continue. But, but still that will is there. That I am right now a meditator and I am doing a meditation on the self, etc. And then Aham Mukta, etc. That object of meditation, that is teaching actually, pertaining to the self, that also continues and you are aware of. But later on, mind gets absorbed and this dhyata, the meditator, his will, his effort gets dropped. And so initially, one more example I can give you. We have seen actually, but I can't go ahead because here again the Nirvikalpa Samadhi word has come. Anyway, so what happens is, even in reading a book, it happens. Initially, you have an idea that I am a reader, and you may be trying to concentrate also initially. So your effort is there, will is there. That I am reader also is there. I am reading, that awareness is there. I am reading a novel that is the object of your reading, that awareness also is there. But slowly after few pages, and suppose a detective story or something, then after few pages, that idea is dropped. That I am a reader right now, I am reading right now, all this gone. They just go away. And you are so absorbed into the object of reading, book. That is called Nirvikalpa Samadhi. That I am reader also, if that consciousness is there, then definitely you will see the time also. You won't see the time. Somebody has to tell you, now you have to go to a job tomorrow for an office, please take rest, etc. Otherwise you just continue. So this is a habit. This is a basically a tendency in the mind. If you continue that particular thought for a length of time, the mind gets absorbed into that, which is a Nirvikalpa Samadhi. So same way, if you in a Nididhyasana. So Nirvikalpa Samadhi is basically a result of Nididhyasana. We should say that way. In that sense, Acharya has used that word. Anyway, now let's come to this. So Gaudacharya Nirvikalpike Samadhau. So Gaudapadacharya ji has talked about Nirvikalpa Samadhi also. I have told you in Advaita Prakaranam, verse number 39, etc. So, and then he says, even though this, the Atma which is free from all division, etc., which is the nature of oneself, which is a pure existence, and that is a fact, Advaitam is a fact, that there is no second thing at all. So, Atma is one without the second, or existence is one without the second. And it is a source of a security, it is a source of a peace, and it is a source of ananda, everything. It is a source of knowledge because it is knowledge. It is ananda, it is not source. Again, source means something we feel that there is, say, some source and from there this is coming out. It is ananda. It is existence, it is peace, etc. But, still people don't like this Advaitam. They appear to be afraid of Advaitam. That's what we are discussing. Why? Because basically every living being in general, and especially human being in particular, is born with the sense of insecurity. You can see that very well. A sense of insecurity is there from the beginning. And that's how a child, always is small, very infant. It always hold on to the mother. If anyone says, please come with me, it won't come. In fact, it tightly holds the mother so that the other person would not take him away. So, basically a sense of insecurity is there and very instinctive thing is there. And that's a fundamental expression of a samsara, basically. So, that is there from Anadikala. And so, from early childhood, we feel the insecure. And this insecurity continues throughout the life. In fact, in a young age, relatively, you become less insecure, relatively, because you have a lot of strength and you can earn and you can do many things, etc. So you feel that you are very independent. Well, but again, once, as more and more age advances, again the person becomes very, very insecure. So we hold on to different things, different objects, different situations, and because of the feeling of insecurity. So we want support, basically, and help from some person, something outside of us. And and those things are there, that is good. In when you come to Advaita, it's a different thing. Advaita means there is no other thing at all. So there is no other object, there is no other person. That's what one person in Ahmedabad, still I believe that he has not yet, I am not able to convince that person. He is coming to the classes, our Swami Viditatmaji's classes. Sometimes he meets me also, and he asks the same question. And he says that, Swamiji, if I get this knowledge, and then, well, you say everything else become mithya, then therefore no father, no mother, no sister, no wife, everything will go away. Varieties of situation go away, the money goes away. He tells like that. Everything mithya means everything will go away. Then I alone will be there in the whole creation. And then how will I survive? I will have a sense of insecurity. That's how he says. So that is how this Advaita Darshanam becomes a source of fear for many people. It increases insecurity, in fact, for many people, if you don't understand. If you take that you are an individual after gaining knowledge, and you alone will remain as an individual, and then other than that, whatever is there has gone. So means your idea about yourself as an individual continues. Then how can you remove the sense of insecurity? It is impossible. Here Advitiyam means there is no second thing at all. And mithya also has to be understood. Mithya also has to be understood that everything will remain. As appearance, it will always remain. Nothing will go away. But they are just an appearances after the knowledge. But anyway, so basically Advaita says there is nothing other than yourself, and this causes a fear, and because there will be nothing or nobody to hold on to for a support. And so even in our case also, in our Arjuna's case also, this thing, Bhishma and Drona, etc., they were there. But after this war, it's a Kshatriya war, and they maybe get killed, so they won't be there. Thinking that they won't be there itself created a fear. And our Arjuna was very, 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 very upset. You can understand that. So even thinking of a non-existence of other thing itself creates a fear. So Advaita means there is no other thing at all other than you. Well, can create, if you don't understand properly, it can create a fear. And that's how our Arjuna also does not want to fight that war because of this. So that is how people like this kind of a moksha, where you want to go to other loka, and you want to definitely take a support of God, etc. Well, because you go to Vaikuntha means Bhagavan is always there, Lord Vishnu is always there, so as a support for you, and that kind of a moksha you like. But moksha in terms of that there is nothing other than you, well, that kind of a moksha and that kind of a darshanam, that kind of a vision about this non-duality can create a fear in some person. It becomes a source of fear. So this is the thing, and basically that kind of a vision, well, definitely, actually it should remove. If you properly understand this Advaita, well, then definitely you will become free from the fear, because the Dvaita itself creates a source of fear. It's a source of fear. So that is how Dvaitathi bhayam bhavati. But here Advaita is a source of fear in absence of understanding. And so Mandukya Karika begin with this saying in the 3rd chapter, that those who hold on to God for security, etc., are also samsari basically, because that too is a Dvaitam only. According to Vedanta, well, Dvaitam is a source of fear. Dvitiyadvai bhayam bhavati, which I have already told you. So, well, Gaudacharya Nirvikalpike Samadhav, this Gaudapadacharya ji, it says, basically in Advaita at all, in Nirvikalpa Samadhi means when you get established into this vision, you are awake to yourself, you are awake to the reality, you are awake to the reality about yourself. Well, definitely there is no source of fear. But Anya Yogina, for all other people, including other philosophers also, and Sakara Brahmanishtanam, for those who are attached to Saguna Ishvara, basically, in which, in terms of Ishta Devata, etc., and definitely, then definitely when Ishvara is different from you, well, still they find that that's a source. I mean, the source of support, source of security is always there, and so they find security in them. But basically here, Ishvara and you, they are essentially one. In that case, you won't have any support from anybody. Not for Ishvara, you feel like that, and therefore, Atyantam Bhaya Uchire, for Sakara Brahmanishtanam, for those who are attached to this Ishvara, etc., they hold on to Ishtadevata, and so for them, Advaita becomes a source of fear. Let's go to the next words. Asparshayogo namhisha durdarsha sarvayogivihi yogino bibhyati hyasmad abhaye bhayadarshinaha. This is also, a contribution of Gaudapadacharyaji. Gaudapadacharyaji gives this special name to this Advaita Darshanam is called Asparsha Yoga. That is his contribution. Asparsha Yoga. Sparsha you know very well. Sparsha means a contact basically, or a touch. But here Sparsha means a relationship, because in relationship also there is a contact. So anyway, so Asparsha Yoga which is Advaita Yoga or Advaita Darshanam, which does not have any duality and therefore no relationship. If there is nothing other than you to whom you will relate. Relate means there should be something else. And the relationship referred to are husband-wife relationship and parent-child relationship or Guru-Shishya relationship or Bhakta-Bhagwan relationship. Well, definitely all this relationship are there. Then definitely it is all Advaitam. It is all Dvaitam. It may be Guru Shishya or it may be Bhakta Bhagavan, or that's how they say Sakara Brahmanisthana. So you are a Bhakta, you are a devotee, and the Ishvara is one who is worshipper, etc. There is a difference if such idea is there. Or a parent-child relation. In any relationship there is a Dvaitam. That's for sure. And when a Vividisha sannyasi goes to this Gurukulam, well, definitely he drops all this family relationship, but basically gets into hold on to the one's relationship with the Guru. I will tell you what happens actually. See, there are four things. One is a world, Jagat. Second is Ishvara. Third is Guru. And fourth is Shastra. Connected, all. What happens is, initially, when you start worshipping Ishvara, Ishvara makes you free from the relationship with the world. Ishvara makes you an independent from the world. And says you be dependent on me. That's the job of Ishvara. So once you say that please hold on to my finger and take me to a proper path, etc. Ishvara says fine, come along with me. But in the process, he will make you free from the relationship with the world. That's the job of Ishvara. And then, but at the same time, Ishvara will make you free from the relationship with Ishvara himself. Ishvara will definitely guide you towards a teacher. That is the grace of Ishvara, that you will get a teacher. So now you are dependent on teacher. So teacher makes you as though free from the relationship of Ishvara. And well, he says you be dependent upon me. And that is how Tvameva Mata Chapita Tvameva, that is how it is. All the relationship we definitely look into basically Guru. You are my father, you are my son, and I'm sorry. You are my father and you are my mother, etc. So you are my friend and everything. All relationship get concentrated into Guru. So as though you feel that Guru is making you dependent on himself, but that's not really the Guru. Guru will make you free. Guru will make you independent from the relationship with himself also. And he will tell towards the Shastra. He will direct you towards Shastra, that you better get connected to Shastra, not to me. Even if you are connecting to me, actually he is really going away from that. And he is connecting you to the Shastra. And therefore, Guru makes you dependent on Shastra. and making free, I mean making you independent of relationship from himself. Now you are dependent on Shastra, right? Now from Jagat to Ishvara to Guru, from Guru you go to now Shastra. And now therefore you are totally dependent on Shastra. All the time Shravanam, Mananam, Nididhyasanam, Shravanam, Mananam, Nididhyasanam. And Shastra also does the same thing. What the previous, the thing, previous people, our Ishvara or the Guru, etc., have done. So Shastra also looks like that it is making you dependent on itself, but Shastra also make you independent of Shastra. That's how it is. Shastra makes you totally independent. That is what it is. That is the mukti. Mukti means independence. Shastra gives you vision by which in fact you now don't depend on the Shastra itself. That's how they say you should not have a Shastra Vasana also ultimately. This is how it is. So anyway, what in this person, when the person who goes for this knowledge, basically he becomes free from all relationship in the world, and then initially may have three things when he is studying with the teacher, Guru, Shastra and Ishvara, and slowly, after the teaching is over, Guru gives this Shishya a second sannyasa. That was the first sannyasa for knowledge. Now he has got a second sannyasa because he has become even independent of relation. Sannyasa means free from relationship. Let's take that way. So when he comes to the teacher, he has a Vividisha sannyasa because becoming free from the relationship with the world, husband, wife, whatever. And now he is relating to only teacher, and there is a Ishvara also and Shastra also. And slowly once he studies, then teacher gives another sannyasa, means making him free from the relationship. Sannyasa means free from relationship, free from the relationship of all the three. Neither dependent on Shastra, neither dependent on Guru, neither dependent on Ishvara, basically. Because he has gained knowledge, not dependent on, not ahankara. So, because he knows everything is Ishvara. In fact, for other people, Ishvara comes to their mind, Ayaram Gayaram. Ishvara is Ayaram Gayaram for them. Come sometime and go away. But this is a person in his vision, all the time there is a Ishvara. Total association, oneness with Ishvara. And therefore, if he relates to Ishvara as a one name and form, having one name and form, he says it is samashti, it is all it's a total. And otherwise as adhishthanam, it is just one thing alone. So anyway, so this yoga basically. Advaita yoga is what? Is basically a asparsha yoga. So eshaha nama asparsha yoga. So, and this ultimately makes you free from all relationship, because you will know that there is nothing other than you. And so, there is no other thing to relate to. And so, durdarshaha sarva yogi bihi. It says durdarshaha, extremely difficult for a spiritual seeker. Yogi means here seeker, for all the spiritual seekers to comprehend and abide. What? This Advaita Darshanam is very difficult for people to get a vision and to abide into that. And so these people who could not appreciate this vision, they will be afraid of this, because that will make you free from all relationship. Relationship is considered as a source of security, and that's called artha basically. And this says you are not related to anything, you are asanga, and there is nothing other than you to relate to, and they give you logic also. There is no really father and no really mother and no really wife. People get afraid. Name mata, etc. Pita neva, me neva, mata na janma, etc. So this is how it creates a tremendous, because you derive a security from all these sources. Why I am emphasizing all this? Because it looks very contradictory. Advaita should be the source of becoming fearless. Here it says, Gaudapadacharya says Advaita is a source of fear. That's how I am emphasizing so much. But in absence of a proper vision of this Advaitam, definitely this Advaita Darshan becomes a source of fear. And where these sannyasis who have gained this knowledge through the teacher and Shastra, they find in the Advaita Darshanam total peace and security. Yoginaha bibhyati asmat, all these yogis, these immature spiritual seekers, they are afraid of this Advaitam because they do not want to drop this crutches, as Pujya Swamiji used to call them, crutches, emotional crutches, which they have been using since Anadikala, they have been using as a source of security. And that vision continues. That kind of a Brahma, that kind of a delusion continues. It has to be knocked off. Till then it will continue. Even in the next Janma, then next Janma, it will continue. That world is a source of security, relating to the world and is a source of security, etc. Well, and that's not correct thing. And therefore, the people who are immature seekers, they get afraid of this Advaita Darshanam in absence of proper understanding. Abhaye Bhaya Darshinaha. So, the very source of security, they see the fear and insecurity. Let's go to next verse. Bhagavat Pujya Padascha Shushka Tarka Patu Namun Ahurmadhyamikan Bhrantan Achintesmin Sadatmani. So in this shloka, Vidyaranya says this Shankaracharya ji also strongly criticized this Madhyamika Buddhist people. Bhagavat Pujya Padascha, the plural is used here for showing the respect. When you want to show a respect to a person, you always use a plural. That is in the Sanskritam. That's a style. So Bhagavat Pujya Padaha, like Ramaha Ramau, Ramaha, it's a plural. So you said how many Shankaracharyas were there? Well, that's to show the Adararthe Bahuvachanam, they call. Adararthe, for the respect. So this Bhagavat Pujya Padaha, this Shankaracharya ji also, Amun Madhyamikan Brantanahuhu. Well, Shankaracharya says these Madhyamika Buddhists are confused, even though they are intelligent and very great logician, but they could not see what is the reality. So, well, something cannot be seen with the naked eye. One should use a proper instrument to help the person to see, and he is not ready to use that instrument. Like that is Veda is an instrument. Veda is basically a means of knowledge which he has to use, but he is not ready for that. And therefore, Shushka Tarka Patun, they use only one tool, Shushka Tarka. That Shushka Tarka means basically a Tarka, a reasoning without having a base in Shruti. That's called Shushka Tarka. And the reasoning which has a basis in Shruti, it's called Shrauta Tarka. So Shushka Tarka, that's a dry logic they call. But so Shushka Tarka means without having a basis in Veda and without Shastra Pramana. So Shushka Tarka Patun, they are very clever in using that kind of a logic. They are very clever. So, but basically, so Amun Shushka Tarka Patun, Bhrantan, they consider, Acharya considers them as very, very, bewildered. Achintyosmin Sadatmani. So basically, actually logic should be taken as a supporting thing to understand the Shastra Vakya, but they are not doing it. And Achintya. Achintya means which cannot be really, you cannot perceive basically the Atma, which is beyond the sense perception, beyond the inference, beyond the presumption, etc., which is not available to any other means of knowledge. That's called Achintya, where logic cannot reach. Logic means basically Anumanam or presumption, either way. But that is where, they fail. Achintya Asmin Sadatmani, the Atma which is Achintya, which is beyond this, basically all these means of knowledge. So, where they apply this, try to see that, and they fail that. And therefore they say that before the creation there was nothing. In fact, before creation Atma alone was there, but they are not able to appreciate it. We will see that some more things are there. We'll see you tomorrow. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om.